بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. So last time we began chapter 1 because I don't know how much time we'll have, and this is the last class before Ramadan begins. We'll jump to chapter 2 and we'll cover chapter 2, and then if we have time inshallah we'll come back and finish chapter 1. So chapter 2 is on page 299. قال المؤلف رحمه الله باب ما يفسد الصوم. Chapter 2, the things that invalidate the fasting. So last time we talked about the ones who are exempted from fasting, but really this is the most important chapter for people who want to fast, which is basically what are the things that don't break the fast and what are the things that actually do break the fast. So Ibn Qudamah rahimahullah, he says, من أكل أو شرب أو استطعط أو أوصل إلى جوفه شيئا من أي موضع كان أو استقى أو استمنى أو قبل أو لمس فأمنى أو أمذى أو حجم أو احتجم عامدا ذاكرا لصومه فسد. Whoever does any of the following breaks his fast, and then he lists them. First one, eats or drinks, and this is well known. The next, takes anything into his stomach through his nostrils. So in other words, if somebody takes something, let's say water or anything else, into his nose and it goes down the throat into his stomach, and does this obviously intentionally, then this breaks the fast. What is the proof of this? The proof of this is mentioned here, the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, بالغ في الاستنشاق إلا أن تكون صائما, that you take the water, istinshaq is when you take the water in your nostrils when you make wudu. When you make wudu, you wash your hands, the sunnah is wash your palms, then you make madmada, you put the water in your mouth, and then the water in the nose, and you blow it out. Istinshaq, you take it in. Istinthar, you blow it out. Okay? So, normally the rule is when you do istinshaq, you should take the water further up into the nostrils. It doesn't have to go all the way, you don't inhale it, but you take it further up so that you clean the entire interior of the nostril. This is the normal case. Here the Prophet ﷺ, he made an exception. He said, إِلَّا أَن تَكُونَ صَائِمًا, except if you're fasting. If you're fasting, you don't do this. You don't take it as far up into the nose as you normally do. Why? Because of the risk that you would inhale it and it would go down your throat. Okay? So this shows that we should be careful, obviously, in making wudu, but in any other case as well, that you don't take things in your nose that could go down your throat and so on. Okay, this brings then the obvious question. I read your mind. The nose drops, right? The nasal drops. Okay. On the next page, on page 300, the editor or the translator of the book, he lists a bunch of miscellaneous issues. One of them is the nose drops. So just to be clear, in terms of the nose drops, the nasal drops, there is khilaf, but the safest opinion is basically don't use them, okay, because of this hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said don't do the baligh fil istinshaq illa an takuna sa'iman, because they take the same hukam. Okay, so even though there's another opinion that says because the amount is small, the nasal drops is very small. And likewise, when you make wudu, you are going to still take some water in your nose and your mouth. You have some water, for example, in your mouth, right? It's not like you take a towel and you dry your mouth. So inevitably, there will be some water that will go down your throat, a very minute amount, because of the fact that you have some traces of water in your mouth or in your nose from making wudu. And you're making wudu, if you do it for every prayer 5 times a day, at least in the day, you would have 4 or 3, I guess. So you will have this residue of the water in the mouth, and this is a very small amount. This is something, it's the Shariat overlooks, it pardons. Okay. Nevertheless, so there is another opinion that says the nasal drop is in that category, so it's such a minute amount that it doesn't break the fast. But anyway, to be on the safe side, to make it simple, avoid the nasal drops unless if you really need them, you just take it at night after iftar. Is this clear? Okay. And so he says here, the Fiqh Assembly of the OIC maintains that as long as the patient avoids swallowing them there should be no harm. I mean, that's obvious, right? Obviously, if the drop stays in the nose, obviously it doesn't break the fast. So that's not even, you're dodging the question. The question is if it went down your nose, would it break the fast or not? So as I said, it's better to be on the safe side. Don't take them during the day. As for the eye drops or ear drops, okay, these don't break the fast. These do not break the fast because nobody consumes, even if you feel it in your throat. So even if you took something you took eardrops or you took eye drops, for example, and then you felt something in your throat, even still, inshallah ta'ala, it doesn't break the fast because this is not the normal route for food and water to take, even though everything is connected, right? Is this clear? Answer your question?
No.
Okay.
Everything you mentioned, you mentioned with intention, right? So, I know you just slightly mentioned that, but the residue, etc., it's allowable because you can't control it. But, for example, if you're making wudu and you do take the water down the nostrils, this is also exempt, or because obviously some scholars have said this also breaks the fast.
I'm looking to see whether he mentions it here or
Unintentionally.
the general rule. I thought he mentioned it here, but anyway, the general rule is that anything done by accident doesn't break the fast. Anything. So if you, for example, if you ate by forgetfulness, I mean, he does mention being nasty, but if it's not done intentionally, it doesn't break the fast. Okay. So if you ate absent-mindedly, if you drank absent-mindedly, it doesn't break the fast. And same thing with the drops. So obviously, if somebody's putting in the nasal drops, okay, he's not doing it, and he knows he's fasting, and he's not like, I forgot. So now, and his question is, will it break my fast or not? Be on the safe side. Do it either in the morning before dawn, or do it after iftar. Okay. As I said, there's another view, but anyway, just to be on the, to keep it safe. As for the eye drops and the ear drops, no problem. Clear so far? Yes.
If you're asthmatic and you have an inhaler, is that okay?
Yeah, the inhaler is fine, because the reason being that when you take the inhaler, it's not going in your stomach. Where's it going? Your lungs, right? So and it's not going in as, by the time it goes in, it's a spray and so forth, it gets absorbed. So in this case, there's no, it doesn't break the fast. So the inhaler is fine. Okay, we're going to go through these one by one. Okay, clear? Okay, then Ibn Qudamah, he says, or if he takes anything through any other route. In other words, if he takes أوصل إلى جوفه شيئا من أي موضع كان, if he gets anything to the inside of his body through any route, then this also breaks the fast. Okay, so this brings up the issue of what we call nowadays injections. In the old days, they didn't have the needle and so forth. So what did they used to do? They used to give medicine and so on through the rectum, okay, through the rear. And that's the question that arose: if somebody gave medicine or any type of thing through that area of the body, would that break the fast? On this one, again, there's khilaf. The vast majority of the scholars, they say that. Now we're talking, so to put boundaries around this discussion, we're talking about putting medicine in. As I said, in the old days it was through the rectum, but let's use the modern types, because this is what concerns us, right? Most of us don't have the the enema, which is if you got an injection, right, with the needle, whether it's intramuscular or intravenous. If there is no nutrition involved, meaning it's a vaccination or some kind of medication, okay, this one, even this, the Shafi'is, the Hanafis, and the Hanbalis, they say it's not allowed and it breaks the fast. Okay, so talk about an injection, no nutrition involved. Okay, it's just a vaccination, for example.
This is any kind of vaccination.
Yeah, any kind of vaccination, any type of, it's just medicine, not an IV. IV is a separate category. IV, you're getting the drip. Let's say you had a tracheotomy, you had something you can't eat, so they're giving you the drip, right? Put that aside. We're talking about just injections, got medicine. Okay. The vast majority of the scholars, they say no, it's not allowed and it breaks the fast. Okay. The Malikis, they said if it's in liquid form, it breaks the fast. If it's not in liquid form, like some kind of solid, then it doesn't break the fast. What's the proof for all of them? The first proof is the hadith of Aisha, radiallahu anha, that she said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, إنما أفطر ما دخل ولا ما خرج. That the only thing that breaks the fast, or the iftar, is what enters the body and not what leaves the body. Okay? So they took this hadith and they said basically anything that comes that is entering the body, okay, whether it's through eating, or through the nose, or through the other parts of the body. That's why he says from any portion of the body. If something is inserted in, breaks the fast. Okay? However, this hadith is weak. Okay? This hadith is weak. Second hadith they have, which is obviously stronger evidence, is the hadith we just covered, which is when the Prophet ﷺ said, "Baligh al-istinshaq," that take the water up into the nose, except if you're fasting. So here they said, khalas, it says this is not eating and drinking. This is just water going up in the nose, but still the Prophet ﷺ, he said, don't let it go far up because it could again come down the throat. So this shows that anything entering the body is not allowed, that it breaks the fast. Yeah.
So when we studied this, we studied it from the perspective of the two cavities, although the one really is not used. So some injections obviously don't go directly into the stomach cavity. So how would that break the fast?
Because they're saying this is... so first of all, they viewed the first hadith as authentic. So, and this would cover the entire body. So it doesn't matter whether... So they say even, for example, let's say the person had a hole in he got wounded, for example, and there's actually a hole in his stomach. Okay? This is not really your question because you're saying something other than the stomach, but I'm just saying, in terms of anywhere in the body, if some food or something was inserted into the body, they said it breaks the fast.
So what you're saying, you don't look at it from the perspective, or the fiqh doesn't look at it from the perspective of the two cavities, they're looking at any sort of nutrition benefit coming to the body.
Well, no, okay. I shouldn't have used that analogy because I'm taking the discussion off course. Basically, the madhahib, all four madhahib basically say that if it enters the body through any cavity, anything entering the body would break the fast. Nutrition or no nutrition. Here we're talking about stuff that has no nutrition.
Are we talking about the stomach cavity? Or?
No. In the time of these fuqaha, they obviously didn't have the needle, the hollow needle and so on. What did they have? They had the rectum. Okay, so they talked about basically if something was inserted through the private parts, would this break the fast? And let's say, for example, as medical treatment. So if medicine was put in, would that break the fast? So it's not reaching I guess in a sense it does because it's in the intestine, right? So it's going to get absorbed and so forth. Yeah, but it's not reaching the stomach. It's not directly in the stomach, okay? And it's certainly not eating and drinking. They still said, yes, it breaks the fast. You with me? Based on these proofs.
Okay.
With me?
Yeah.
Okay. And I said the second view of the Malikis was basically they just said if it's liquid, yes, and if it breaks the fast, and if it's not liquid, it doesn't break the fast. Ibn Taymiyyah, he disagreed with the four madhabs on this point. He said no. First of all, as we said, there's no authentic proof. And Ibn Taymiyyah says the fact that there's no authentic proof on this point shows that it can't be correct. Which this is a bit of a weak argument, to be honest, because there's a principle in the Sharia that عدم الدليل ليس دليل على عدم, that if there's no evidence, it doesn't mean that that's evidence for that the absence of evidence is not proof that the ruling is not there, or that that it points to the ruling being or that the thing is not prohibited and so on. Okay, so anyway, I mean, I didn't even put that up there because that's not a strong argument. But the real strength in Ibn Taymiyyah's argument is that he says, look, we already know from the Sharia that there are other things like bukhur. You know bukhur? You know the thing that the Saudis pass around with the incense, right? And you inhale it. And sometimes there are particles in the incense, right? And this is inhaled, and this is allowed. This doesn't break the fast. Okay. Likewise with perfume, you can smell the perfume, and people can actually get. Ibn Taymiyyah said that it's possible for someone to smell the perfume and actually get invigorated from the perfume. So you could actually get like a boost of energy or something from that. Okay, like you would if you had eaten something, and this is still allowed. And likewise if you put oil or cream and these things are absorbed through the skin, again these things don't break the fast. So Ibn Taymiyyah says, so first of all the hadith is weak above about that anything that enters the body breaks the fast. That's not the case. There's no proof for that, and we have clear exceptions already about things that are absorbed through the skin and so on, and these things don't break the fast. Okay. And Ibn Uthaymeen concurs, and so basically if there's no nutrition involved, then inshallah it doesn't break the fast, and there shouldn't be any issue with taking the injection or vaccination and so on. Okay? Because of the fact there's not really any strong evidence to prohibit it. You with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
When you say nutritional injections, Is that just IV or is it?
Well, I mean, as far as I know, it's generally it's IV. I mean, maybe there's something.
So if you have an injection for any muscular pains, bone pains, that sort of stuff, that's not considered to be nutritional.
No, painkiller. That's a painkiller, right? It's medication. You see what I'm saying, right? Whereas an IV, let's take the basic scenario, and I don't want to get into all the different medical exceptions, right? But the basic scenario where the guy can't eat, he's got an operation on his throat. How's he going to survive? They give him an IV, right? Does that break his fast or not? Okay. Question? Is there a question here? Yeah.
Yeah, so a diabetic can inject insulin.
Yes, that would not break his fast. If he chose to fast, yani. Okay. All right. Now that leaves the IV. Okay. Ibn Uthaymeen, say again, obviously the madhahib, all four say the IV breaks the fast. I mean, if they said the non-nutrition breaks the fast, obviously the nutrition for them breaks the fast. I couldn't really determine Ibn Taymiyyah's point on this because he was making a long argument and I was running out of time. So, but he seems to, the way he was structuring his argument, I got the impression he also inclined towards saying that it doesn't break the fast, that bit. Ibn Uthaymeen says explicitly it doesn't break the fast, the IV. However, even though they may say that, Ibn Uthaymeen says explicitly, I would say that it's still better to avoid it. And ultimately, if you're taking an IV, you're not going to have an IV in your house, right? You must be in the hospital. If you're in the hospital, break your fast, make up the day later, right? Obviously, you're in the hospital for something. So, that day, they're giving you an IV. There must be something wrong. Take the IV, khalas, and so on, and then make up the day later on, right? And just avoid and get yourself out of the problem. With me, okay? So to summarize, injections that are not nutritional, inshallah, no problem. You can take them, painkillers, even the insulin and so on. But anything that is like an IV, even if it's just like a saline solution or a sugar solution or anything like that, this seems to, again, the safest view would be that it breaks the fast and therefore you would avoid it. Or you do it after iftar, again. Is this clear? Okay. I think it's mentioned here as well. So the translator, he says, injections other than nutritious ones, many contemporary scholars believe they do not invalidate the fast. That is the position of the Fiqh Assembly of the OIC. Nutritious injections, controversial, but the vast majority consider them to invalidate the fast. That's what we see. That is the position of the Fiqh Assembly of the OIC. So there are some, like as I said, Ibn Uthaymeen, he says that they don't break the fast. But just to be on the safe side, yani, if you're taking an IV, obviously something's wrong, so just make up the day later. Clear? Okay. While we're here, let's just go through the rest of the list. So then he says enemas. Again, the madhahib would say it breaks the fast, but it seems to be that the case that it doesn't break the fast because you're not taking anything into the stomach, and there's no, especially an enema, is just for cleaning, right? As far as I know, it's not meant for nutrition or anything like that. Same thing with the suppositories, inhalers we covered, the drops we covered. Last one is about the last two, the endoscopes. So if somebody had a procedure where they had to put something down your throat, the camera, the camera in and of itself, going down and then they're doing inspection, they bring it out, would not break the fast. Okay, the issue is if they put like we call it lubricant on it to help it go down. Okay, and if the lubricant if the traces of the lubricant remain. Okay, he says here, even if they enter through the mouth, they do not break the fast according to many, including the Fiqh Assembly of the OIC, because they're not nutritious, and according to the Hanbalis, they do not remain in the abdomen. The majority of the earlier scholars would consider them invalidators because they enter the hollow interior of the body. Again, going back to this point here. So again, I would say this is doubtful because of the lubricant, right? The fact that they put something in or out doesn't break the fast, but the lubricant, and if the lubricant would leave traces and so on, this is a gray area. So again, I would say if it can be avoided, you can have the procedure at night, fine. Otherwise, khalas, yani, make up the day later on. Yeah.
You mentioned about the insulin is allowable for the diabetics. So does that also apply for somebody who's taking the tablets? For the
What do you mean,
diabetes
insulin tablets?
Not insulin tablet. They instead of having the insulin, they get, I can't remember what the tablet's called now, but it does the same thing, but it's in tablet form.
And what, they would eat the tablet, you mean?
Yeah,
No.
because that goes.
Of course. Yeah.
But it's the same. It does the same thing.
I mean, I've never even heard of insulin tablets. That's why I thought it was always injections.
I can't remember what the tablet's called, but even like my wife, when she was pregnant, she had to have them because she was gestational. So.
Yeah, but she's not going to fast.
No. I mean, it's the same tablet that diabetics take. So.
Okay. Anyway, I mean, tablet, no tablet. You can't take tablets. Plain and simple. And you cannot have anything in the mouth and you swallow it. Okay. So, and obviously, if you need the medication, then as we talked about, then you don't fast. Okay. The final one is about the skin preparation. So if things are put on the skin and absorbed, like creams and oils and so on, again, they don't break the fast. Someone once asked me about the patch, the nicotine patch. Okay, does this break the fast? Okay, I know we don't have any smokers here, but anyway, the question remains: does this break the fast or not? Okay, the answer, Ibn Uthaymeen says no, it doesn't. In fact, Ibn Uthaymeen says it may be obligatory on the smoker to use the patch so that he is able to get rid of his addiction. Okay, so no, the patch for those who smoke, who are, unfortunately they have this addiction, it's allowed for them to use the patch, and it doesn't invalidate the fast. Okay, the next one then.
I've got a question.
Yeah,
Blood tests. Are you allowed to give blood?
we're gonna come to that. Next one he says, istiqa, or the one who intentionally vomits. Okay, the one who makes himself or induces vomiting. Okay, according to the madhab, this also breaks the fast. What's the proof of this? The proof is the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Man dhara'ahu al-qay فليس عليه قضاء ومن استقى عمدا فليقضي. He who is overwhelmed by vomiting, in other words, you didn't intend, you vomited as is normal, right? You couldn't help it, it just came out. It doesn't break the fast. So the normal vomiting that we all, we experience, this doesn't break, unintentional. You just, something happened and then you vomit. This does not break the fast. Okay? This does not break the fast. However, the question is if somebody induced vomiting or made himself vomit. Okay, according to the madhab, they would say it does break the fast. If you, for example, put your finger down your throat, or you smelled something foul intentionally to make yourself vomit, because maybe for example, you got something stuck and you want to get it out while you're fasting, so you're trying to basically get it out through inducing the vomiting. Okay, based on this hadith, the madhab says that no, this would break your fast. Okay. Now about this hadith, there's khilaf, very strong khilaf about whether this hadith is actually a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam or a statement of Abu Huraira. So Al-Bukhari, Imam Ahmad, Ibn al-Qayyim, they said it's a statement of Abu Huraira. It's not a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Shaykh al-Albani, Abu Ishaq al-Huwaini, and Ibn Taymiyyah, they said no, it is a authentic hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, so very strong khilaf. Anyway, we'll take the hadith as it's authentic, and we'll treat it as it's authentic. Okay, which would mean that if somebody induced vomiting, then this would also break the fast. Clear? Okay, but again, most people, I think, they don't do that. So if somebody vomited, unintentionally, then it doesn't break the fast. They keep on fasting. Okay, unless again something's happened and they're sick and therefore they've lost the ability to fast, and that goes back to our previous discussions. Okay, then the author mentions masturbates, kisses, or touches the opposite sex, and subsequently emits semen or has madi. So you know that there are two things that can come out when someone is aroused. There is the semen, which is the mani, and then there is the pre-seminal fluid, which is the madi. Okay. Now, obviously, along with eating and drinking, it's well known that to be intimate with one's spouse breaks the fast. Obviously, okay, and unlike eating and drinking, where if somebody actually ate or drank intentionally, they have to make the day up. If somebody actually did jima', was intimate with their wife, not only do they have to make the day up, but they also have to do what? They have to do the kafara. Kafara we didn't cover last week. If we have time, we'll come back to it tonight. The kafara is either they will free a slave, which doesn't apply for us because there are no slaves. The next one after that is to fast 60 days consecutively. And if someone cannot do that, then you feed 60 poor people. Okay. Anyway, the issue here is what if somebody does not do jima'? So someone does not have intercourse with their spouse, but one of these things comes out. If it's semen that comes out, then the fast is broken. Okay? So again, just to be clear, yani, if there's intercourse, deliberate intercourse, obviously the fast is broken. The fast has to be made up, and there's a kafara involved. And this is obviously a major sin. So put that aside. If somebody does not have intercourse, but does something else with their spouse, so for example, it could be kissing their spouse or some other way of being intimate other than intercourse, and semen comes out, the fast is broken, and you have to make up the day, but you don't have the kafara. You don't pay the kafara. Okay? So anything that causes the semen to come out, this breaks the fast. Then there is the issue about the preseminal fluid, the madhi. Okay? About the madhi, there is again khilaf. The Hanbalis and the Malikis, they say it breaks the fast. Okay? So if somebody, for example, kissed his spouse and no semen comes up, but if there was the preseminal fluid, then the fast would be broken. They'd have to make up the day, but no kafara. Okay? The Hanafis and the Shafi'is, and this is also the view of Ibn Taymiyyah, they said no, it doesn't break the fast. Okay? Why doesn't it break the fast? They said that this preseminal fluid is more like, the Hanbalis and the Malikis compared it to semen. So they said that because semen breaks the fast, therefore this fluid also breaks the fast. The other side, the Hanafis and the Shafi'is, they said no, it's more like urine than it is like semen, because number one, you don't have to make ghusl when it comes out. We covered this, I think, in Kitab al-Tahara. And then number two, it doesn't remove the desire or break the desire, as is the case with semen. So based on that, they said that if somebody is kissing his wife or is touching his wife and so on, and any preseminal fluid comes out, then the fast is not broken. They just have to clean themselves as we've already covered. Okay. The next one after that is, now this comes to the blood test, right? Has hijama. Okay. Hijama is the cupping with the bloodletting, or does it to someone else. And you don't do the cupping. In other words, either you get cupped, meaning you're the one who is the patient, or you do cupping to someone else intentionally, and while remembering that he is fasting. That this also breaks the fast. Now this is one of the what are called the mufradat, or the unique opinions. Every madhab has certain opinions that only it has and others do not have, right? Most of the issues you'll find, many times the madhab are agreed. Like on this one, for example, they were all agreed. All four schools were agreed. But there are issues here and there where one madhab will be unique in its view compared to all the others. Okay, so again, we've already covered a few of these already with the Hanbalis in different topics. This is again one of the areas where the Hanbalis have a view different from the other schools, which is that the one who does hijama, the one who is doing the hijama, administering the hijama, and the one who is the patient himself, both of them, their fast is broken. Okay, what is the proof of this? It's again mentioned in the book. The proof of this is the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Aftara al-hajim wal-mahjum. The one who is doing the hijama has broken his fast, as well as the one who is the patient getting the hijama done. So first of all, what is hijama? Just to explain for those who've never seen it or not familiar with it. Now I think it's made a comeback, right? Because even now the non-Muslims are doing it, or at least there was a case like a few years ago with the Olympics and so on. Like certain swimmers and so forth were doing it. But basically, the cupping is you take a cup. Alhamdulillah. They take, there's small cuts, incisions made, and then they take a cup, and basically there is a vacuum created that slowly extracts the old thick blood out, right? That's coagulated blood. So it removes it out of the body, and then fresh blood can come in and take its place, right? And this is an ancient form of medicine, even before Islam, and it's in many countries, in many cultures, and so on. And like I said, it's making a comeback now as well. So the issue here is the Prophet ﷺ, he said that both the one who's getting the cupping done on him and the one doing the cupping, both of them, their fast is broken. Okay. The other madhab say no. Whether you're doing the cupping or you're getting the cupping done on you, it doesn't affect your fast. Okay? Now here we have the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which is explicit and it's authentic that the cupping is, for both of them, breaks the fast. However, there are other narrations. For example, on the next page, there's a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ احتجم فيما بين مكة والمدينة وهو محرم صائم, that the Prophet ﷺ had hijama done to him while he was traveling between Mecca and Medina, while he was fasting and he was in ihram. So when he was on his way to make hajj, and he was fasting an optional fast, not Ramadan, he had the hijama done, so he was both muhrim and he was sa'im. Okay, so now we have what's called a apparent contradiction, right, between the hadith. There's never a contradiction because the hadith never contradict, but there is apparently on the surface it looks like they contradict. So the way that the scholars reconcile these hadith, basically both sides say that their hadith abrogates the other. So the Shafis, the Malikis, the Hanifis say this hadith came in the later time of the Prophet ﷺ, when the Prophet ﷺ was making hajj. So therefore this hadith abrogates the earlier hadith about where the Prophet said that the fast is broken. The Hanbali say no. The hadith where the Prophet said that the fast is broken came later after the other hadith. So before it was allowed, and then the other hadith shows that it was abrogated. Okay, Allah knows best. Yani, which is the what's the correct view? So again, best thing is that if you want to do hijama, khalas, do it at night. You don't do it in the day, and then again you avoid the khilaf. Okay. Now, if we take the view that the hadith is authentic, meaning the Hanbali position is correct, for example. If you take the view that the Hanbali position is correct, then there's a question of, well, why is it prohibited? Or why, even if we said, for example, okay, the patient, maybe we can understand in some way it affects his fast. But the person who's doing the cupping, why would his fast get broken? I mean, he's just putting the cups on the guy, right? So there are two views amongst the Hanbalis as to the explanation of this hadith. And the explanations then go back to the issue about the blood tests. Okay? One view amongst the Hanbalis, so again, we're not talking about the other madhab. The other madhab would say, khalas, go do the cupping, doesn't break your fast, no problem. Okay? So the other madhab are excluded from this discussion. Amongst the Hanbalis, one group would say the reason behind this is what we call ta'abbudi. Ta'abbudi means it's not known to us, the wisdom behind why this hadith is there. It's not clear. There's a wisdom behind it, clearly, but Allah knows the reason, and we don't know. Not everything is we don't know the reason behind every single thing in our religion. It's not always the case. You understand? For example, why do we stand first in the prayer, and then we make ruku second, and then we make sajda? Why do we make sajda first, and then stand, and then Allah didn't explain to us, right? It's not clear. This is just how we're taught. We just follow the what the Prophet ﷺ taught us. You with me? So some of the Hanbalis, they said the reason here is ta'abbudi. It's not known to us. It can't be known. So therefore we just follow it, and we leave the explanation. Ibn Taymiyyah, he said no, it's not ta'abbudi. There is a reason, and then he offered two explanations, or an explanation for both cases about why the fast is broken. So he says, as for the one who is mahjum, the one who's getting the cupping done on him, okay, he said the reason that his fast is broken, إن إفطار الصائم بالحجامة له حكمة أما المحجوم فالحكمة هو أنه إذا خرج منه هذا الدم أصاب بدنه الضعف الذي يحتاج معه إلى غذاء لترتد عليه قوته. That as for the mahjum, the wisdom behind his fast being broken is that if this blood comes out, then his body would become weak, okay, and therefore he would need to have some nutrition, food or water, whatever, return back to his body in order for it to regain its strength. So this is logical. In other words, the reason that the Prophet ﷺ prohibited this or said that this would break the fast is because the person would become weak, and therefore he would not be able to perform the fast correctly. He would become too weak and unable to do the fast in the correct way. Okay. All right. What about the one doing the cupping though? Right. The one who's just administering the cups. He says, وَأَمَّا الْحِكْمَةُ بِنِسْبَةِ لِلْحَاجِمِ إن الحاجم عادة يمص قارورات الحجامة وإذا مصها فإنه سوف يصعد الدم إلى فمه وربما من شدة الشفط ينزل الدم إلى بطنه من حيث لا يشعر. So in the old days the way they would do it is you would make the incision, then you put the cup, and then they would have basically a way to suck the air out to create the vacuum. So he's saying that normally they would suck the air, right? Not the blood. They'd be sucking the air, but if he sucked too hard, it's possible that maybe some of the blood would come out and he would basically inhale it, and it would go down to his stomach without him even knowing. So
That's not relevant in this day and age.
yeah, I know, I understand, I know, but what I'm trying to say is Ibn Taymiyyah is saying there is an explanation that we can find for this hadith, and this is one possible explanation. You with me? Okay. So he's saying based on that, it would explain why, because otherwise, why would the person doing the cupping his fast be broken? I mean, what he's not doing, nothing's happened to his body, right? You with me? His fast is intact. So why would it be the case that doing the cupping to this guy would affect his fast? So Ibn Taymiyyah is saying one possible explanation is that by sucking too hard, possibly some blood could go into his stomach. Okay. The reason we're going into this is because it comes back to the blood test. It actually, in a very roundabout way, is going to come back to the issue about the answer to the blood test question. Okay. So anyway, the point is about this hadith amongst the Hanbalis. You have two views. One view is that this is ta'abbudi. We can't know the reason. And another view is that we do know the reason, which is these two, for example, these reasons that Ibn Taymiyyah gave. Okay? Now, if we go back to the blood test issue, okay? The other madhab would say you can have the blood test, it doesn't break your fast, no problem. Right? The Hanbalis who say it's ta'abbudi, like Ibn Qudamah, the author, they would say, go have your blood test. No problem. Why? Because the hadith is talking about what? Hijama, not blood test. You understand? And they would say, we don't know the reason, so we can't make analogy with the hijama. So we are just going to say that the hadith talks about hijama, cupping. So cupping is the special case. As long as you're not doing cupping, if you need to go do give blood or have a blood test or whatever, it wouldn't break the fast. Okay? If you take the view of Ibn Taymiyyah, and that there is an explanation, then he would say what? Then he would say we could make analogy with the cupping. Meaning that if somebody was giving blood, okay, then it would be similar to the cupping, in which case it would also break the fast. See what I'm saying?
How adamant is Ibn Taymiyyah in his view of that though? Because when you're explaining it, it seems as if he wasn't...
No, so it's like this. Basically, I'll make it simple. The opinion is this: if the blood is a small amount, and generally the blood tests are a small amount, like a, what do you call it, test tube size, right?
Okay.
So a trivial amount, this wouldn't break the fast. Okay, this wouldn't break the fast. If it's an amount that would weaken the body, then Ibn Taymiyyah would say, well, this is the same reason that the hijama is prohibited, therefore this would also break your fast. You see what I'm saying? Right? So if it's a large amount that would weaken the body, then it will break the fast. If you go with this view that says that we can know the reason behind this hadith. If you say, if it's a small amount, like a trivial amount, like normally with I guess it would be like this. The blood test is a very small amount, generally. So it wouldn't break the fast. If you're giving blood, let's say donating the blood, I don't know how much they take normally, right? But that's usually a larger amount. Then this would, if you took Ibn Taymiyyah's view, then this would break the fast. You with me?
Is that point actually on the giving the blood, or the fact that you are diminishing your body's strength?
That's the reason Ibn Taymiyyah said, right? No, Ibn Taymiyyah said, why is the cupping breaking the fast? Because it's making you weaker. So you are decreasing, you're taking away strength that you need to keep doing the fast correctly. You see what I'm saying? So Ibn Taymiyyah would say, therefore, maybe I'm not explaining it correctly, but if you say there's a reason, if there is a known cause for why the hijama breaks the fast, then if this known cause is also there for other things like the blood, giving blood, then it should have the same result, right? Because you got the same cause, it should give the same result. Yeah. If you say that, no, it's not decreasing my strength, because it's like or let's say you have a nosebleed, for example. Well, that's not gonna. I mean, generally you pinch your nose and that's it. It's not gonna decrease your strength. Therefore, it wouldn't break your fast. Even Ibn Taymiyyah wouldn't say it would break your fast. You with me? Because the amount is trivial. So if you say, in other words, the hadith about the hijama, you could use that and compare that for giving blood or blood tests. Number one, if you're a Hanbali. So if you're one of the other madhab, then they're like, what's the issue? Yeah, go give blood and khalas. Read Quran. Don't worry your mind with these things. If you're a Hanbali, they would say, and then if you're a Hanbali, if you follow like Ibn Qudama, they'd say, khalas, it's just hijama. Are you doing cupping? No, it's not an issue. Only if you follow this view that said, no, the reason must be this. Therefore then, anything that also has the same reason, which in other words, if anything else, any giving of blood that weakens the body would also break the fast. Clear? So to make a long story short, I'll make it simple. Blood tests, nosebleeds, these things don't break the fast. Okay? If you're going to go give blood, do it at night. If you give blood a large amount during the day, then this could possibly break the fast. Is this clear? Okay, clear? All right. Quickly. Okay, for all the above, the fast is nullified. We covered that. Then the next one. وَإِنْ فَعَلَهُ نَاسِيًا أَوْ مُكْرِهًا لَمْ يُفْسِدْ صَوْمُهُ or لَمْ يُفْسِدْ صَوْمَهُ. If one does it absent-mindedly or if he's forced to do it, his fast is not nullified. Again, this is well known. So if you do any of these things, forgetfully or unintentionally and so on, it doesn't break the fast. Next thing, وَإِنْ طَارَ إِلَى حَلْقِهِ ذُبَابٌ أو غبار أو تمضمض أو استنشق فوصل إلى حلقه ماء أو فكر فأنزل أو قطر في إحليله أو احتلم أو ذرعه القي لم يفسد صومه. If flies fly into one's mouth, or dust goes in, or one rinses the mouth or sniffs water into the nostrils and water reaches the throat, like we talked about in wudu, or if one thinks about things and then he emits something or discharges drops, or has a wet dream or is overwhelmed by vomiting, his fast is not nullified. So again, if these things are done unintentionally, they don't break the fast. And likewise, we talked about wudu, the remainder, the residue of the water, and so forth, doesn't break the fast. Before we hit the last bit, just a couple more things. So a few more things that don't break the fast. The miswak, okay? If you use the miswak, does that break the fast? Okay. What if you use the flavored miswak? They have the flavored ones like peppermint and other things, right? Well, what if you do? Does that break the fast? No, they don't break the fast. Even if they're flavored, they don't break the fast because the only thing you're swallowing is saliva. Okay? So the miswak, it doesn't break the fast. As for the bits of the miswak, okay? So depending on the quality of the miswak, sometimes the bits come off and so on. The ulama, they talk about if somebody eats or drinks something that's not food. Like what if somebody ate a rock or ate paper? Would this break the fast? Okay? Most of them, they say that, in fact, they all say basically it does break the fast. It does break the fast, yeah. If you swallowed a rock, they would say it breaks the fast. Even though there's no nutrition, they would say it breaks the fast, because most of the ulama, they looked at basically the actual act of eating and drinking. It doesn't matter what you ate. So if you eat or drink, regardless whether you ate food or non-food, it would break the fast. Okay? So if you take this view, then also the bits of the miswak, if you intentionally ate it or swallowed it, it would break the fast. So therefore, obviously, if you're using the miswak, you make sure those bits, you spit them out. If it's by accident you swallow it, then again, anything done accidentally, it doesn't break the fast. With me? Same thing if you're brushing your teeth with the toothpaste. So if you're brushing your teeth with the toothpaste, normally you spit it out, right? If in case anything went down your throat while you were brushing unintentionally, again, it doesn't break the fast. Clear? Okay. What about tasting food? So, you're cooking at home, you're cooking the biryani, and you're letting your wife get a break. Now you need to check, do I need to put more, I don't know what, salt? You can see my biryani skills. Yeah, I need to put more salt or something in the food. And you need to taste it, right?
So
How do you not intentionally taste food? Are you allowed to taste food or not?
No, you don't.
Yeah, you can.
Yes, you are. You are allowed to taste food. So Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhuma, he used to taste the food. Obviously, you can't swallow. So you taste and you spit it out.
Okay.
Right?
I was getting worried there.
You're making the ruh of za. You want to see is it strong enough or not. You taste it, you spit it out. Okay? I think we covered everything. Then the last bit. وَمَنْ أَكَلَ يَظُنُّهُ لَيْلًا فَبَانَ نَهَارًا فَعَلَيْهِ الْقَضَاء وَمَنْ أَكَلَ شَاكًّا فِي طُلُوعِ الْفَجْرِ لَمْ يُفْسِدْ صَوْمَهُ وَإِنْ أَكَلَ شَاكًّا فِي غُرُوبِ الشَّمْسِ فَعَلَيْهِ الْقَضَاء. If one eats while thinking that it is night and it turns out to be day, he must make up that day. In other words, you're eating and then you're eating your suhoor, and then the fajr time comes, you've eaten past the dawn, you have to make qada. If he eats because of doubt that the time of fajr has arrived, في طلوع الفجر لم يفسد صومه. And he's not sure whether the fajr has come or not. You keep eating until you're sure. Then if he has doubt and so on, then he doesn't have to make qada. And if he breaks the fast, so that's suhoor. Let's say during the daytime, you think that the sun has gone down, so you break your fast, and then the clouds move and the sun is still there, you make qada. Okay? This is the madhab. There is khilaf. The khilaf here is, because there's different narrations about basically, there's a well-known incident that happened where the Sahaba broke their fast and then the clouds moved and it was still, the sun was rising. But it's not clear, there's some difference about, do they make up the day or not? Okay? On that one, I don't want to get into that, so we'll stick with the madhab here. I'm not in a position to say what's the correct view on that one or not. Yeah.
I'm sure that I may be correct, but there was some Sahaba that Adhan was going off and they were still eating, but they were allowed to finish it there.
Yeah. This is allowed.
That's fine, right?
Yeah. If you have something already in your mouth when the adhan is going for suhoor, for example, you finish it. You don't have to spit it out. Okay? And it's from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the suhoor is made as late as possible and the iftar is made as early as possible. Okay? So, and that's why the Prophet ﷺ, he said, you will be in a good state, or you will be in good as long as you are quick to break the fast. That's why, it's from the sunnah to actually be that, the second you hear the adhan, you immediately break the fast. Because it's from the mercy of Allah that the fast is, we're not trying to lengthen the fast more than it needs to be. The fast is just as it should be, just as long as it should be. And then as soon as we try to push the time as late as possible and try to break the fast as fast as possible. And this is incorrect to try to lengthen the fast. As, for example, the Shia do, they lengthen the fast longer than it should be. This is incorrect, okay? Because we're not meant to make the religion harder than it should be, or make things longer than they should be. Any questions? خلاص, I don't want to make it too long, so we'll leave the other bit. Anyway, the rest of chapter 1 was only about the kafara. To make it simple, don't break your fast, and then you don't have to worry about kafara.
Based on that kafara, a lot of the scholars have the opinion that they have to, because a lot of people didn't realize that it works in chronological order, and it obviously is very difficult, right? So they have to say that you stick with the first one.
Yeah, but there are no slaves to free. So how are you going to free a slave?
In regards to fasting 60 days.
Yeah, okay, so on this one, if somebody intentionally broke his fast through jima', not through eating and drinking. If you're eating and drinking, you make up the day. Okay? But if somebody did jima', then they have to do the kafara. And yes, so because it's not possible to free slaves, the next in the order is to fast 60 days consecutively. On this one, people asked, well, what if I don't have the ability to fast, or it's too difficult to fast? Then can I just go straight to the option of feeding the 60 people? And the answer is yes. Basically, if somebody says, Ibn Qudama talks about who is allowed to be exempted from the fasting 60 days. And so, normally in a Muslim country, if somebody had done it, he could go to the qadi and he could say, okay, because of my age, it's too hard for me to fast, or because of I have an illness, or even someone could say, because of my desire, my sexual desire, I cannot fast 60 days. And it's allowed for the qadi to say, fine, then in this case you'll feed 60 poor people. The proof for this is the hadith of Salama ibn Sakhr radiallahu anhu, who he said in the hadith narrated by Abu Dawood, he said that I was a man who had a strong desire. And so when Ramadan came, he said to his wife, they used to have this form of divorce in Jahiliyyah where they would say to the wife, you are to me like my mother. It's called dhihar. You are to me like the back of my mother. In other words, khalas, yani you're divorced. So he said to his wife, because he was afraid that he would break his fast in the wrong way. So he said to his wife, you are to me like my mother for the month of Ramadan. Okay, for the month of Ramadan, you are to me like my mother. Then what happened? And he was true when what he said. So he did have strong desire. Unfortunately, he had intercourse with his wife during the day. He broke his fast. So he went to the Prophet ﷺ and he told the Prophet ﷺ what happened. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, free a slave. And he went through the kafara. So Salama ibn Sakhr, he said, I don't own any other neck other than this one. Because in Arabic, the word for slave is the same word for neck, raqaba. He said, I don't have any other neck other than this neck of mine. Meaning I don't own any slaves. So then the Prophet ﷺ, he said, then you have to fast 60 days. So Salama ibn Sakhr, he said, وَهَلْ أَصَبْتُ الَّذِي أَصَبْتُ إِلَّا مِنَ الصِّيَامِ, yani, did I do is there anything that caused me to do what I did other than the fasting? And it was the fasting that got me into trouble in the first place, right? Now you would think, you're asking me to fast more? So then the Prophet ﷺ, he said, then you go feed 60 poor people. He said, I have no food. My wife and I, we both went to sleep hungry last night. We didn't have any dinner. So then the Prophet ﷺ, he said, go to so-and-so and take this food from him, and you go and you distribute it amongst 60 masakin. Okay? So the proof, is that, and the point is from the hadith is that if somebody has an excuse a valid excuse that prevents them from fasting the 60 days, then they can go straight to number 3, which is you pay for 60 poor people. Is this clear? Any questions? Yes.
If it's the whole bit of lunch before it's gone, are you allowed to finish the plate of food in front of you?
No, you're allowed to finish the food in your mouth. You can't finish the plate. And you pack it up, put the cling foil on it, and you have it for iftar. So the food in your mouth, you're allowed to finish. Clear? Alright, subhanaka wa hamdik, shadu la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.